Picture this. You've stepped completely away from the crazy hustle of modern life, and you find yourself looking out over the incredibly colorful autumn valleys of Vermont. You've got these rolling hills, winding rivers cutting right through brightly colored forests, and right there, kind of hidden among the trees, is this centuries-old covered wooden bridge. It just stretches so quietly across a gentle stream. It's a gorgeous, totally serene image. But what we're looking at in today's explainer isn't just a picturesque landmark. No, we are unpacking the absolutely inspiring story of what it actually takes to keep a piece of history alive, day after day, year after year.
Okay, let's dive into this. 64 years. For 64 years, an 85-year-old man named Benjamin Foster, everyone just calls him Ben, has been the faithful guardian of this historic landmark. I mean, really think about the sheer magnitude of that dedication for a second. Every single morning, long before anyone else even thinks about crossing that bridge, Ben is already there. He's repairing loose planks, he's clearing away snow, he's inspecting those massive wooden beams. He has literally dedicated the vast majority of his life to being the keeper of this one specific timber span.
Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would someone dedicate over 6 decades to a wooden structure? Especially today. We live in an era of modern engineering, right? We all know that concrete and steel bridges are built for pure, unyielding strength and longevity. But Ben holds a completely different core belief. He believes that a wooden bridge uniquely connects people to their history. It's not just moving cars from point A to point B. It serves as this physical, tangible bridge to the past. It reminds us exactly where we come from.
So, what does a day in the life actually look like? Well, every single day at exactly 5:20 a.m., just as the morning fog is drifting above the river and the birds are just starting to wake up, Ben gets to work. He shows up with a lantern, a broom, and this small carpenter's hammer. He unlocks the little wooden gate beside the bridge, walks incredibly slowly across those weathered floorboards, and he just listens. He's listening for that familiar creak of the wood under his boots, because to Ben, that creak isn't a sign of weakness. It's a voice. It's the bridge telling him, hey, I'm still alive.
Actually, Ben has this great way of putting it. Wood always tells you how it's feeling. And what's so wild about this is that he works entirely without modern tech. Zero. There are no computers running diagnostics on structural integrity. There are no digital sensors measuring the stress of passing cars. There's just Ben, his small wooden hammer, a simple notebook, and decades of pure, unfiltered experience. He literally taps the beams and listens for a sharp, healthy sound. If a beam makes kind of a dull thud, he instantly knows it needs attention, and he just jots it right down in his notebook. So, how does someone even learn to do this? You don't just pick up this kind of intuitive sensory maintenance overnight. Well, it turns out it's a family legacy. Long before Ben was the 85-year-old guardian we see today, he was just a young boy, visiting this very bridge while holding his grandfather's hand. And his grandfather wasn't just some tourist. He was actually the guy who repaired this exact same covered bridge after a massive, historic flood many years earlier. So Ben learned this trade, and the heavy responsibility that comes with it, directly from him.
During those childhood visits, his grandfather shared a piece of wisdom that basically became Ben's entire guiding light. He told him, never fix only what's broken, protect what's still strong. Let's just pause and think about that for a second. This isn't just about bridge maintenance, is it? It's a profound life philosophy. I mean, think about our own lives, our jobs, our communities. It is so incredibly easy to just run around putting out fires, right? Just fixing whatever is currently falling apart. But Ben teaches us that true preservation means actively nurturing and reinforcing the things that are already working well. Protect what is still strong.
And let me tell you, that exact philosophy was put to the absolute ultimate test during the Great Flood. One spring, we had these exceptionally heavy rains that turned the normally gentle stream into a roaring, violent river. The current surged dangerously high, and massive heavy logs began crashing directly against the bridge's stone supports. It was completely harrowing. The entire structure was literally at risk of being completely swept away. But Ben, he spent hours right in the middle of that chaos, working side by side with engineers to desperately secure the structure. And the result? When those floodwaters finally receded, the bridge still stood. Sure, it was scarred, but it was standing, and the entire town threw a massive celebration. Fast forward a bit to more recent times. Enter the university architecture student. She showed up at the bridge for a summer internship in historic preservation. Now, coming from a modern university program, she fully expected her summer to be filled with, precise digital measurements, complex blueprints, and technical structural analysis, the whole 9 yards. But instead, her time with Ben turned into something entirely different. It basically became this unexpected masterclass in patience, in slowing down, and in treating a structure with deep, abiding respect.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Ben completely reframes the entire concept of historical preservation for her. He tells her, "You're never repairing wood, you're protecting someone's craftsmanship." That right there is Ben's overarching thesis. He teaches her that you can't truly restore something unless you first understand the original builders. It's not just about swapping out a piece of old timber for a new one. It's about honoring the actual human hands that cut, shaped, and placed that exact piece of timber 100 years ago.
Knowing that his retirement is finally drawing near, Ben undertakes one last, major project. He helps replace the last worn section of the wooden roof. And you guys, it's an incredibly emotional final restoration. Just picture it. The fresh cedar shingles are newly installed, and they're catching that warm, golden afternoon sunlight. The bridge looks almost exactly like it did generations ago. And as they're finishing up this work, something really beautiful happens. Cars are passing through, slowly. Drivers are rolling down their windows just to wave at him. Some people are literally pulling their cars over, getting out, and stopping to say thank you to the man who has protected their crossing for an entire lifetime.
And then comes his final working day. Ben stands by the bridge he has known his entire life. He reaches down to his tool belt and he pulls out his old carpenter's hammer. Now this isn't just any tool. The oak handle of this hammer has been worn completely smooth. It's been polished by the friction of his own hands over 6 decades of careful, loving work. He holds it out and he hands it directly to the young preservation student.
As he hands it to her, he passes the torch with these exact words. Don't just preserve old bridges. Preserve the stories that crossed them. The student accepts the hammer with this profound, quiet respect, because in this single, simple exchange, she learns the absolute ultimate lesson of her entire summer. True preservation, it's never just about the physical materials. It is fundamentally about maintaining human connections and protecting the history of the people who actually used this space.
Let's just take a moment here to slow down and really picture this final scene. It's evening now. The golden autumn light is filtering beautifully through the bridge's wooden windows, and it's casting these long, warm shadows all across the interior. Ben takes one final walk across the floorboards. Once again, they creak so familiarly under his boots. Right halfway across the bridge, he stops. He just pauses in the quiet of the valley, and he looks down at the peaceful river steadily flowing right beneath him.
And as he looks out over the water, he shares this deeply profound sentiment. People think I cared for a bridge, but all my life, I cared for the journeys, reunions, and memories that crossed it every single day. It's incredibly powerful, isn't it? The river just keeps flowing. The bridge keeps standing. And the quiet, humble work of one faithful keeper over 64 years transcends just mere maintenance. It becomes an eternal, enduring part of American history.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer today. But before we go, I want to leave you with a direct challenge. Think about this. What stories and memories in your own community are waiting for a keeper to protect them? Ben Foster showed us that it literally just takes one dedicated person to preserve a massive legacy. So take a look around your own hometown. Find those hidden histories, those quiet landmarks, and those human connections. Because who knows, maybe you are exactly the keeper they've been waiting for. Thank you so much for joining me today as we unpacked this incredible story.